Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in to my weaving a texture wall hanging tutorial. I'm actually starting at the end. I want you to have a visual so you can see what I'm demonstrating later. So the two wall hangings right here, these are the textural wall hangings I'm talking about, and I've used natural found objects, and I thought that I would be weaving sections and then actually wrapping around, but I found the driftwood I'm using to be more exposed if I just actually wove it right in. So I did that, and then I wove an extra tab here or hem to drape over at the bottom. So that technique I wanted you to see for mounting. You don't have to use natural found objects. You can use something just like a dowel if you prefer. At the bottom, with this piece, I decided to actually just twist my fringe, so it was about that long, so keep in mind that you'll lose about half of the length, and then you just simply start twisting until it's tight enough to actually twist right onto itself like this, and then you will work it into the back of the fabric, and that's really important because otherwise it'll slip right out. So you're going to take a crochet hook and work it to the back. So I thought with this nice texture here, I wanted to try to incorporate the fringe right into what's happening here. So my next deal will be working with this heavier Berber wool, which is such beautiful yarn, and work in long pieces going to short. So in the end, it will be about this long all the way across, but this goes on that angle and that goes up. I feel because I did an angle here, I didn't want to do that same angle at the bottom, so I'm evening that out. These were loops. I decided to cut them and make it more fringy. I did pull this thick yarn, which is this wonderful dyed with madder root and then felted wool, felted onto a cord. So I pulled it to kind of shape a little bit better. This piece, and I wove them both at the same time, side by side. The hanging thick yarn here worked out perfect, so I didn't do anything with it. And I wasn't intending to just leave the threading, but I've decided that it looks actually kind of good, so I think I'm gonna leave just the plain warp fringe, top and bottom. And here, I actually put two pieces of driftwood in because this piece just wasn't strong enough for the wall hanging. I want to show you, I have a 16 harness AVL, but you can, on a 4 harness, that works well too. So I'm going to show you my Dobby threading on here so you can, again, get a good visual. It's so important to kind of get a full idea of what you're doing before you start entering into this. So an inlay is very simple. I have 16 harnesses. So here I have my tabbies starting with 2, so my even numbers. And then this is my first inlay, and this is the odd number. So I just have 3, and then this is my third harness. 9, and then 15. That's the odd number. Even number is right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 12. So I want you to bounce back and forth from the even to the odd and always have a tabby shot in between each inlay shot, and you'll see that on the demonstration. So if you have a 4 harness, you're going to be doing your odd and even tabbies and probably just lifting 1 odd number and then 4 for your even. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, of course you can go to books and get an idea of what inlay weaving is all about. Also, if you want, you can put a finer warp thread for your inlay so you don't see it as much. So before the tutorial starts, I just want to thank you again for tuning in, and I'm Wendy Carpenter at Interfibers Design Studio. I give workshops and I have an Airbnb, so if you want to check that out, I have it listed below, and the workshop I'm doing this year is about this textural weaving. And of course you can stay right here in beautiful Door County. You can't beat the location in Wisconsin, Cape Cod of the Midwest. So thank you, subscribe, like, follow, and I will be doing more tutorials. The piece behind me was my last tutorial, in case you saw that, or if you want to check it out again. This is a Monet tapestry, and I did the textural part with the technique that you're going to see in this video, and then later felted the piece. So let's get going with the actual demonstration. All right, bye. I have a wool warp on, and right now I have the inlay lifting. You can see this is my tabby, which is right here, very simple, under, over, odd, even numbers. When I go to the inlay, it'll lift just some of the, like only 3 harnesses are lifting. And then when I want to do the other inlay, you'll see the opposite, but only a few. That's how I can insert something so clumpy like this without covering it with the warp. So that's really important, that you have the right threading for a textural weaving wall hanging. So I have this cotton fabric that's a kind of a textural raw cotton, and I also have eyelash. I mean, that goes way back. We used to use that a lot. And that's funny because this whole style is really what we were all doing in the 80s, and now it's back. So it's kind of fun for me to do it because it's super easy. And it'll be easy for you too. So right now I'm putting this thicker piece through on my inlay so it doesn't get covered by the warp, and I'm tufting. So I'm going to pull, and that's what I did on that tapestry. I was tufting, but it was very even on the tapestry. Now this is going to be very uneven because I want all this texture. So I'm never doing the texture weft shots on the tabby, which is right now that I'm doing the tabby. So that's my background thread, because you have to have something closed in the back to have a firm piece of fabric. So if you look underneath, you can see it's all woven underneath, but on top it just floats on the top. So I'm always doing a background thread after the textural thread. So now my opposite threads have lifted. You can see it's not the same one. And now I'm going to shoot to this nubby, tweedy cotton. It's quite different from the last shot that I just did with the actual fabric. So you can use fabric, you can use yarn. With this one, I'm not even going to tuft it. I'm just going to keep it right where it is. And now I have the tabby. I always have to shoot the tabby every other one. You can't miss that, otherwise you won't have a firm piece of fabric. And now with this shot, and I have the opposite again, and I don't even have a shuttle, I just did a butterfly because it's faster and easier. I'm going to go, almost all the way across, but not quite, and use this as an exposed warp. So now I'm back to my tabby. And now I'm going to go back with the inlay. And this time, I think I will pull it a little bit. I just wanted to get underneath my last texture shot there. And go through with my background tabby, and then I'm probably going to let go of the tabby for the whole distance. I think I'll just shoot it back and forth just through here. Okay, so now coming across again with this one. And I ended here last time, so I think I'll end here this time. And I'm going to pull it out more. We have a little color here too, because there's a little bit of a coffee tweed color. And now with this one, I'm back on my tabby, but I'm just going to meet this thread right here. That was my first inlay thread. And then I'll come back. I can get away with that one time without losing my structure of the fabric, but then the next time I'll have to go all the way over it. So I just shot my inlay for this tapestry that I'm starting, and the tapestry means I'm going to be doing 2 different yarns meeting together and creating shapes, like landscape shapes. So right now, it's a little bit different than all this textural weaving here because this will be the top of my wall hanging, and the whole thing is kind of a landscape composition. So this will be the heavier, closer area that if you were looking at a hill or a open prairie sort of look, everything closer to you would be larger. So I'm going over with the second inlay here, and I'm going to bring this back just so I don't have that loose end there. Now I'm coming back. I'm going to catch this inlay thread, shooting back, and I'm kind of making this a little messier than this one. This one I'm going to keep kind of flat, but I'm catching that same thread. So next time I'll catch this one, and so this shape will get smaller and smaller as it curves like this, and this shape will get larger and larger. And this will be flat, and this will be all kind of bumpy. Here's my tabby background to keep all the fabric together. And now I'm back to the inlay again. So here, so this was the thread that was lifted that I caught. Now I'm going to go over 2 threads. And then when I come back with this one, I will meet it. Same little opening here, but you can see now this is expanding, and I'm shortening this area. So decreasing this part, increasing that part. Tabby. And then I'll go back with this one. And back with this one. So this sort of look will be really quite different from all this textural stuff you see down here. I might incorporate off loom a little bit more of this as fringe down below. Right now I have the warp as my fringe, but that won't really work with this character of a wall hanging because it's very thick and textural here. So I'll probably do some knotting, macrame knotting, to bring this up so it's more of an extension of what I have here, rather than your traditional fringe you'd see on a wall hanging. At the very top, when I'm all done with these different landscape shapes, I'm going to put a natural found object in. I'll show you that right now. Hopefully you can see a little bit of what's starting here, where this is going to keep taking off. To mount this wall hanging, I'm going to use a natural found object. So I'll weave just part of my warp here, which will wrap around here so I can sew it down, because this is very uneven. And I'll cut this wherever I decide. I'll probably use this end like this. So I'll cut it somewhere in here. So to do that, to weave sections, I would stop with all the inlay weaving, and I would just stay with the background. So let's say I've measured that stick that I need 6 inches. So I'm going to skip that inlay and then go back. And pretty soon you'll start seeing a selvage edge there, making a natural opening. So I'm just treadling through all the inlay. So it's starting to build now. There, so if you can see how it's now, I'm just weaving this one section, And I would be doing the same thing over here. So if I wanted this part to go over a curve, so maybe I would be weaving 3 panels like this. And then I can go right over my natural found object, and it'll still be straight because I'm weaving panels that will really adapt to this curve of the stick.